Right off the bat, let me just say I'm a huge fan of the show Rebels. I did have my doubts about it before it premiered, mainly because it was going to be on Disney XD, and I was worried about where they'd be willing to take the show. But I have to say they've done a great job of walking that thin line between being too childish for adults and too adult for children. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think the show almost feels more like Star Wars than The Force Awakens even did. And that's not so much a knock on The Force Awakens as it is a compliment to Rebels. Now, having said all that, I'm going to say something that most people who are fans of the show might not want to hear. I think there is basically a 0% chance that Ezra will be Rey's father and or that he will be played by Benicio Del Toro in episode 8. Now, before you run off to the comments and say how wrong I am, hear me out on the reason why I feel this way, because if you are a fan of the show, you might like the answer behind it. Now, to get to it flat out, I just can't see Disney ruining the ending of Rebels Force, nor should they, even if it meant something as cool as Ezra being Rey's father, or that he would be some type of dark side user played by Benicio Del Toro in episode 8. Those of us who watch the show week in and week out, and who have become invested and care about these characters and their fates, mainly Ezra and Kanan, who have the most uncertain futures before them, I'd say, deserve to have their story played out and left a mystery until the show has had its chance to run its course. What's great about Rebels now is that I have no idea how this show will end, though I could certainly make some guesses, and I likely will at some point in future videos. For example, in the season 2 finale, when Ahsoka squared up against Vader, I had no idea how that fight was going to end, and I thought it was very possible that Ahsoka would not survive it. This one episode of a cartoon had managed to create more tension than anything we'd seen in the prequels, and that was mostly because the ending of the prequels was known to us. We just didn't know how we were going to get there exactly. And now with Rebels, I don't want to know how this story ends before we have a chance to get there. I want to go into that last season, whenever that might be, and into those final few episodes where, if I had a guess, Ezra will be tempted by the dark side yet again, and we won't know if Kanan will be able to save him, or be forced to destroy him, or maybe even be destroyed himself. After 3 seasons so far, and with who knows how many more yet to come, we fans of the show deserve that kind of tension-filled ending. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Didn't Rogue One already give us some spoilers for the show? Yes, in a sense it did, but to give us nothing would have been a wasted chance to interconnect the universe, and to give a nod to the show and the fans of it. It also would have left us wondering, why wasn't the Ghost at the Battle of Scarif? The most important battle for the Rebellion yet, and they're not there? Are they all dead? Instead, they showed us the Ghost take part in the battle, and we got to see Chopper roll through in one scene at Yavin Base, as well as a reference to a General Syndulla. And sure, you can make the argument that they let us know Hera will still be alive and what she's up to, so why not let Ezra be in episode 8? That's basically the same thing, right? Only it isn't. And that's because, and don't hate me if Hera is your favorite character, but the mystery of what becomes of Hera at the end of the show is not on par with the mystery of what becomes of Ezra and Kanan, or even of what happens to Sabine with all she's been up to lately. Letting us know that Hera will not only be still alive, but a general in the Rebel Alliance in 2 years, from where the show is currently at, is not the same as letting us know that Ezra will become the father of one of the main characters of this new trilogy, or that he will eventually become some badass darkside user that will be played by Del Toro. Not to mention, for all we know, Rebels could continue on after the Battle of Scarif and into the time of the original trilogy, making the reveal of Hera still being alive and a general even less of a spoiler. Then again, it was heavily hinted at in Rogue One that there were no longer any Jedi involved in the Rebel Alliance, which leads me to believe that the show will either end at or before the Battle of Scarif. The consolation prize is that once the show ends, these characters will be fair game, and I'm sure some of them will pop up in novels, comics, and maybe even a future anthology movie. I'm sure we'll also see some of them in whatever animated show comes after Rebels, which one would have to guess will take place after Return of the Jedi in that 30-year void where we know so little. Now, before ending this, I will say that I actually do love the idea of Ezra being Rey's father and being played by Del Toro in episode 8. That would be great. Again, I'm a huge fan of the show, and this would be so cool if I turn out to be dead wrong, and they do go this route. And yes, Del Toro does, more or less, have the right look to play an older Ezra, and the ages would line up pretty well. But Lucasfilm went out and got Del Toro because he's an amazing actor, not because they were looking for someone to play Ezra. And I have to believe that Disney and Lucasfilm will not spoil the ending of Rebels, and even if you love the idea of Ezra showing up in the new trilogy, you have to admit that's the way it should be. This should be a surprise on how this show is going to end. Well, that's all I got for you this time. Do you want Ezra to be in episode 8, even if it would likely spoil the end of Rebels? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and let's talk some Star Wars. Also, let me know if you'd like me to do more videos on Rebels. As I said, I'm a huge fan of the show, and I know plenty of you out there are as well. Also, please subscribe to my channel or check out some of my other videos. If you're already subscribed, then thanks for your continued support. And as always, thanks for watching.